And welcome to episode number 24 of The Final Whistle. I am Kyle, and Mark is not joining us today as he is taking care of some personal things. He will be back next week when we have our guy Steve on, so we look forward to having him and Steve back next week. So for at least the next hour, you are stuck with me, and we will have a great time together as we start this week off with a bang. And first off, I just want to say thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you're new and you're just seeing us for the first time, or you're regular and you haven't, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on TikTok or on YouTube and Twitter, or YouTube, and comment in the chat. Hit the subscribe and like button so we can get it out there. But we appreciate you so much for liking, for watching, for responding, giving us some criticism that we need, and things, ideas we don't even think about from time to time. So we thank you and we appreciate you, and we look forward to many more shows to come as we're on episode number 24. Well, it was a week as literally lots of news have broke since the last time we have talked with you, as some big football news as the Ravens have fired John Harbaugh. This came last Tuesday, as literally we were done recording, and then the day after it came out, and the Dolphins fired Mike McDaniel, who was interviewing for the Browns head coaching job at the time of this recording. So there was a lot of moving pieces in the NFL coaching search, as Mike McDaniel was, I wouldn't say kind of a surprise, but it's interesting because it sounded like the Dolphins were very loyal to them, very loyal to him, and was going to try to get through this kind of weird stint and make it happen, or make another push to the playoffs happen, but they couldn't, and they fired him like on the spot. They had no GM, and Mike McDaniel was supposed to be the guy that hires his GM to get it in place, but that didn't happen. So here we are, a couple weeks later. And Mike McDaniel's out of a job. Dolphins fire their coach, and here we're back to square one. Same, it's very interesting with McDaniel because he's an offensive-minded coach. I don't know if I'll take him on the Browns. I think he's more of a better OC like Stefanski was. I don't know. I still don't think, to me at least, if Stefanski is a good head coach or a good offensive coach, but we're gonna see, because he's probably gonna get a new job elsewhere. But yeah, McDaniel, he's better OC. It just, he did make the playoffs a couple times with Miami, but they were out in the first round. They didn't advance. Especially remember last time during the playoffs, they got whomped by Kansas City in Kansas City in 2023, the same year the last time the Browns been to playoffs, of all things. So, but 35-33 record. He was on the Browns in the past as a wide receivers coach back in 2014. So got some roots there. I don't know. It's tough for me to think about, because it's tough for me to put my mind around it. Would I like him? Yes, but I know I prelude to it. I know Mark has a couple times. I don't know if I'd let him call plays. I just get your own OC in here, get your own DC. Hopefully they keep Schwartz. There's rumors Browns, going to keep Schwartz. Hopefully that's what they're telling the head coaching candidates. But hopefully he would get an OC, because I want the coach to manage a game. I want the coach to worry about timeouts, worry about how many minutes are left in the game, etc. Where, Stefanski, he was so stubborn. He wouldn't give up play calling. Even after every time they would ask him, "Oh, give up play calling," he'd be like, "No, I'm not giving up play calling. Why would I give up play calling?" And then he finally did to Reese last year, to be like, I think it was more of, well, we're gonna see the crowd wanted it, so here you are, you're gonna take it, and we saw it didn't work out, and then he took it back a little bit last year or this year, but then Reese ultimately took over in the end. And I don't want Reese. I hope McDaniel understands that Reese is not the answer here. And if Mike McDaniel calls plays, then okay, I guess we will see, because you got a lot of talent on that side of the ball. You got a great new tight end if Njoku does end up leaving in free agency. A great running back in Junkins if he get back to form. Now, we'll probably have to draft another running back, because we have nobody behind him. Samson's kind of been a flop. We got Rocket Sanders, but I think you need a little more of an explosive guy when it comes to the running back position. Wide receiver, you're probably getting one in the draft, whether that's Carnell Tate. Who knows if he'll be at the Browns pick in the 6th. You might get Arizona State's Jordan Tyson. We're going to have a lot of draft talk coming up in the weeks and months to come. But I would be okay with Mike McDaniel, but I think if he calls plays, okay. It's how he's going to develop. Can he develop Sanders? We saw what he did with Tua. We saw what he did with that offense down there. They were explosive. They had great calls, and if they do hire him, okay, I'll be okay with it. He's got the head coaching experience. I want head coaching experience, as I preluded to, because anybody else who's a coordinator who doesn't have head coaching experience, we've kind of seen how it played out. Like I said, with Stefanski, keep going back to Stefanski, you get all these guys that are non-head coaches, have not been a head coach, and then you bring him back to kind of work it out. So this is going to be a very, very interesting day with Mike McDaniel, and we can see, but because he's got some other interviews lined up. He's going to be interviewing with the Lions for the offensive coordinator job. So, and I'm assuming if he doesn't get either the Browns coaching job or the Lions OC job, which I would think if he doesn't get the Browns head coaching job, I have a feeling he'll be with the Lions OC just how I see things going. Because Stefanski, he's interviewing all over the place. So I like I would be okay with McDaniel. Would it be my first choice? Absolutely not. As John Harbaugh sitting there as number one. I would probably go Harbaugh, McDaniel. If we're going head coaching experience, McCarthy's up there. He's a proven winner. Everybody doesn't want him, but I think he'd be a great fit. I mean, these three coaches in name are offensive minded, and I like what the Browns are doing. They're telling the OC or the head coaches that are interviewing, hey, we want to keep Jim Schwartz. We want to keep him on the staff because he knows the defense. There's not really much. Then the players don't have to accommodate and move to a different offensive or defensive scheme. He knows the players. He knows the coaches. So I hope they keep him. Now, will they? I think that's because that's been one of the things rumored that he must stay or he's preferred to stay as they've been interviewing. So that's been very interesting with Mike McDaniel. I think Mike McDaniel could work here. Just how he places staff around for him here in Cleveland because there's a lot of moving pieces. The offense is still young. Don't forget, this will be Sanders' second year if Watson don't start. Now that's another thing with Watson. Would Mike McDaniel be able to work with Watson, be able to continue to develop Watson for that last year of this contract we have to pretty much eat unless we somehow find a suitor that is able to pay or help the Browns pay his contract if we trade him. But I don't see a case where we do trade him or someone asks to trade for him unless they're really, really desperate or there's a quarterback in you where they're like, okay, maybe we'll take maybe a quarter of his salary will help or a half. I don't see it going past the half if we're looking to give people give a team Watson. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how Mike McDaniel, if it is Mike McDaniel, how it goes about it because I want to see who he brings in. If it's not Schwartz, who he does bring in a defensive corner. I think Mike would. I think he would stay with Jim Schwartz. It's just a matter of what he does in the offensive coordinator. I would not be surprised if Reese stays, but I don't want him to. If he stays, then Mike McDaniel call plays. I don't think Reese could call. I don't think he's suited for the NFL. I think Reese is better at a college offensive coordinator. If that makes sense, I would hope he would maybe bring in his own OC. But if he keeps Reese, which I hope he doesn't, then he could go and call plays if Reese is here. Now, if Reese is gone, he brings another OC. That's fine. Now there's been Browns have been doing different kinds of interviews that don't make sense. Now, there's rumors that they could be for like OC interviews in case they bring in a certain candidate and all that. So that's why, like, if you're seeing and they're not making sense, then you could just be like, well, this guy interviewed. So it'd be very interesting. I know, like, the Nathan Shieldhouse from the Rams, one of the offensive coaches from the Rams. I don't know about that. We'll deep dive into that later on in this show, or if not next week, if we don't have a coach in place by then. So it'll be very interesting to see what the Browns do and what Mike McDaniel does, say that 5 times fast, with the head coaching search with Mike. We'll see how the interview goes, as this is only step 1 interviews, and then once they do virtual interviews, they'll do face-to-face and then go from there, and all will be all Good. All right, we're going to move on to the next candidate as is the top of the list, I think, for not just the Browns, for everybody whose team needs a coach right now. John Harbaugh, a Super Bowl champ. He went 180 to 113, 180 wins, 113 losses when he was with the Ravens. Offensive-minded coach. He's only had 3 losing seasons in his 14 he's been there, so credit to him. Credit to him the way he's been handling things, and it's he's a guy I want. And if you're looking for head coach experience, you're looking for a coach that can win it, that can help you as a proven winner, this is the guy. He beat his brother Jim Harbaugh in the Super Bowl way like 2012 or something, but I think it just ran its course in Baltimore. It ran its course. I think it was time. It was time for a change. It sounded like he lost the locker room a little bit. Lamar wasn't responding to the quarterback or to the coach, but so here you have it. He's a top, and there's there's connections with the Browns. There's connection with the Browns with the when it comes to Harbaugh, as his wife's family's here, and there's been mutual interest, and that's the thing, and that's what we like to hear. Now, will the Browns pull the trigger? Can the Browns pull the trigger and do it? I don't know, but it's going to be very interesting if you ask me, because he's got all of what you want. Head coaching experience. He knows how to build a team. He knows the quarterback position. He just knows, and this is the kind of coach you want. And everyone's lining up, and supposedly we haven't known yet, but he's supposedly making a list of what he wants or the teams he wants to talk to. But supposedly mutual interest, we don't know. We're supposed to find out either today, tomorrow, or in the next coming days who he wants to talk to and who he thinks will be better suited for him, and mutual meetings. But this is very interesting. This is one that the Browns, if he's interested, you have to go balls to the wall. You have to push all your chips in the middle for him with obviously a backup plan in place. But because you ain't gonna get any better than this, folks, especially this cycle. If you hit on this, then you're set for a couple of years. You're playoff bound. Maybe not this year, just with the team. Maybe you are. Who knows? But you could be the next year and a year after that, once he gets his team and then once he gets his feet wet with this team, he knows what he wants. Now, he's going to want his own GM, as it's been reported too. Has him going to pull the trigger this late in the game? This late in the game, is he going to pull the trigger? That's the question. Will he fire AB if Harbaugh comes in? Now, it's still speculative on if that's true, what Harbaugh wants. But if it is true, Jimmy, you got to pull the trigger, Jimmy. You got to get rid of AB, because he's told you Harbaugh's told you he's not going to work for you or work for AB. And when he's not going to work for when you're not going to work for the general manager, then you're going to want this to be fit. You're going to want the new GM in there, and maybe Harbaugh has a guy in mind when it comes to the GM to figure out who he wants to kind of talk to him about what or with the division going forward, because you got to pull the trigger. And there's another thing too when it comes, if AB doesn't, let's say Harbaugh does not come here, he goes to somewhere else. This is AB's last chance, because so this is why, folks, this is why you got to be very, very selective, especially when it comes to Harbaugh. If it's not Harbaugh, you have to be very selective in what you do or who you pick, because let's just say, okay, you don't get Harbaugh, you don't get McDaniel, you're going to be with the scraps again. Here they're going, a guy, we're going to get into this in a couple minutes, but there's a couple of guys that AB may lose his job from, because let's say you do go Schwartz. Does Schwartz know he could not be here next year? That's the thing too. Does he know he's not with AB and the coaching search? Does he not know, or does he know okay, maybe this is a 1 year? Because if AB doesn't hit on this coach, I think he's gone next year. And this is why getting Harbaugh might be important, because you have stability. You're going to have stability at the head coaching position. You're going to have stability at the GM position. When he does bring in his GM, and you bring in his GM, it's and everybody calms down, because you're going to expect to win, but the coach knows This coach, no, like you're not going through this again with Stefanski. Stefanski, you have to worry about him, adjusting to instead of OC being HC. Because Harbaugh, he's going to be completely hands off when it comes to coordinators. He'll probably have his coordinators in mind. He probably does. Maybe it would be Todd Monken from Baltimore. Maybe I forgot who the DC was. Maybe he likes Jim Schwartz. Who knows? He still got interviewed. There's still, but I think we're going to be a way, way, way better position than there was when it comes to if we have one of these other guys, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, and with Harbaugh, you could trust him. He knows the game. He knows how to get there. He knows how to rally a team. And he was literally just a kick away from making it to the playoffs this year. And it came on the foot of his kicker who blew it, who pushed it wide right against the Steelers last week to win. So they are going to. So he was out of a job. He's not coming back. Baltimore moves on. So this is the pounce. Now you're going to have to fight off some suitors. Probably the Giants. I believe Atlanta's in it. Doesn't seem like the Raiders have much interest because they probably know they ain't getting them with how much of a mess they are. You got what's the other team? You got the Giants, the Falcons, Tennessee. Who knows how much Tennessee's involved? I think Tennessee's more involved than Stefanski. If I had to pick out of the two, McDaniel's still going to be a hot commodity when it comes to teams if he doesn't land the Browns job or the OC for the Lions. But I think he'll ultimately settle with the Lions if there's no OC there or no head coaching experience there. But yeah, with the Harbaugh situation, Harbaugh, you're set. You're set for life pretty much until he retires. Now, I like this question too. How long does he want to stay here though too? Like, if he knows maybe we get to year 3 and 4, he's like, well, there's not much I could do with this organization. Does he leave? That's another question we got to keep in our back of our mind. Like, I mean, he's not going to leave, but does he? Well, how much does he get fired? Which I don't think he'll get fired. I think he'll turn this around instantly if you're Harbaugh. But I think your run still might be a little rough as he's trying to get everything together. The defensive side of the ball will be fine. As if Schwartz if AB or whoever the GM is, if it's Harbaugh, could hit on the draft, the defense side of the ball is gonna be fine. It's gonna be more of the offense because we need, like I said, another receiver, pretty much a whole another offensive line. You're gonna need receiver, another running back, maybe an extra receiver. You're probably getting an extra receiver because Tillman hasn't really been producing. Judy hasn't really been producing. You're probably going more offensive line heavy. Either the Utah offensive lineman or the Miami offensive lineman. And we've seen how Miami's been playing the last couple of weeks in the college football playoff. They've been playing out of their minds to get them to the national championship game against Indiana this coming Monday. So it's gonna be interesting. Harbaugh's the right guy to do it. I'm not getting my hopes up because until Adam Schefter says he agrees to become the Browns head coach or whoever reports it, I'm not getting my hopes up because there's no reason to when it comes to the Browns. The Browns always find a way to mess this up, if it's not Harbaugh McDaniel, then I don't know where we go. Unless they're just gonna say, screw it, we'll keep Schwartz for a year and then just AB's gonna roll the dice and hopefully he hits on another draft. We'll keep his job for another year, but I don't know if you keep Schwartz. I think AB will be out of a job next year, and I think we're back here. I think we're back here if we're out of a job and AB's the GM or is the GM past the draft, or it is the GM and it's not Harbaugh. We're gonna be back to where we started. I seriously think that. I think it's going to be Harbaugh. And then if we don't have a winning record, AB's gone, Schwartz is gone, unfortunately. Will he stay and take the DC job at that point? Probably not. So I think you got to be careful here if you're the Browns, especially if you want Jim Schwartz. I don't think you give him the job as head coach unless you're confident, unless Haslam's confident AB could hit on another draft. Because if he can't hit on another draft, then I think we're right back here where we are 5-13, or was it 5-12? Yeah, 5-12 or 4-11. Yeah, 5-12. That sounds right. Or 6-11, but that's still not good enough. And even Jimmy said 3-14 wasn't good enough, and we're gonna be right back here next week, or next year. So it's just a lot to keep your mind going on about because it's just it's a fascinating coaching cycle, and we're excited that. It's fun to see all these names pop up, who everybody's interviewing now. Obviously, some are like, okay, they got to satisfy like a Rooney Rule. Rooney Rule, you got to interview a minority candidate. You got to interview a person or of color just to solidify the rule. So there's just different obstacles that happens when if you're not a football fan, it's what you just got to get over it, over hurdles and obstacles. So, but it's gonna be very interesting coaching search of the Browns, and we'll see down the road. And maybe we'll know by the end of this week. Maybe by the time you're watching this recording, we'll know who the coach is, or maybe we'll get a good idea. But the Browns are going to be the Browns, and they're going to continue to be the Browns until something changes, whether it's the owner or the GM or they hit on this new coach, because it's very, very important to hit on this coach. All right, so we're going to talk about some of the other candidates as they've come out in the past couple of days since we last spoke with you. And these are kind of, I think, just as people have been talking about, just some interesting, just maybe some OC candidates or DC candidates if it's Schwartz, or OC candidates if it's like a Harbaugh or Mike McDaniel, that they could be like, well, we like this OC or this person for the OC better than what maybe you would bring in. But obviously you got to listen to the coach. One name I don't understand, I hope it's just for OC purposes, is Dan Pitcher. He is offensive coordinator in Cincinnati, as he's got strong ties to Andrew Berry. He used to be in the Indianapolis Colts scouting department with Andrew Berry, and I just hope that here's the thing that gets me. You're interviewing these names. You're interviewing these people. Now I get it. You want to see who could fit OC and all that, and it might be more of a mask more than anything, just to get a feel for what you think the offense will look like in that type of scheme. So I mean, it's okay. I don't mind it, but we're wasting time unless they really know who they want a head coach. Why are we wasting time worrying about OC stuff right now? You don't even have a head coach. You don't even have a head coach in place, and you worry about who's going to be the OC. You're wasting time. Now, Reese, I'm not a big fan of, everyone's like, oh, it's courtesy because he's in a building, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? If you don't think he's going to be around, if I'm McDaniel Harbaugh, I don't want him around. Now, like I said, I think McDaniel might keep him if McDaniel's calling the plays, because McDaniel's going to call plays, and so Tommy's just going to get paid to sit in the press box the whole season and just act like he knows what he's doing and act like he's doing. Harbaugh, Reese is not staying. Reese is gone. We got to get rid of the special teams coach too. I still don't know how he's fired, how he's not been fired. If that's just beyond me. He has been fired, and it's been a week since we let Stefanski go. And he's still on this team. I don't understand. I get it. Okay, Austin Schmidt, he kind of improved over the last 2 months of the season. But when you're watching that Cincinnati game, that one punt return it was Larvidan or whoever was in the backfield or receiving that one punt. Literally, you're a common football player. No, you're like, okay, the ball's coming, it hits the ground, get out of the way, because if we touch it, the other team could get it, and it'll be their ball. And he literally was the 3-yard line, and he let it go, or he didn't let it go. And we're like, well, that cost him yards. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's on the coaching. That coach's got to tell him, hey, just get away from the ball. We'll deal with the possession. We'll deal with the yardage when we get there or when we start the drive. That's just stupid. That's just coaching. And the fact that it's still 18 weeks and it's still like that is beyond me. It is super annoying, and I don't get it. Now with these coaches, Dan Pitcher, I don't even know. I don't even know what we do. This guy's not a head coach. Is he an OC? I just hate he's connected to Barry. I just hate he's connected to Barry. I just hate that he's going to be a guy that it's going to be talked about. I don't even know if I want him as OC, because, and I'm going to hate this because they're making this case for Jim Schwartz. I don't want an ultimatum when it comes to the OC. I want the coach to at least pick the OC. I'll be okay with, like I said, I think we'll all be okay with Jim Schwartz. I want Harbaugh or McDaniel to pick a better OC, and because I know they will. Reese, you kiss Reese goodbye. Kiss Bubba Ventrone, the special teams coordinator, goodbye. So I don't want Pitcher to be the guy. Nathan Scheelhaus, or how do you say his last name? He was brought up yesterday as a guy who's going to be interviewed. No, it's another OC. I don't understand unless they think they could get. And this, I just hate. Again, you're going off preferences. Just let the new coach pick who he wants. I don't understand why you're trying to get involved Just don't. This is what I hate about the front office. They get too much involved. Hire the coach first, and then you start going down the list of coordinators. Especially if you already have your DC, you don't got to worry about a defensive coordinator. But when it comes to, like I said, offense, let the head coach pick who you want. I don't think she also called plays. I don't think she also called plays. So that's another thing. You want someone who's called plays, like a Clint Kubiak, he's probably not coming here at all. He's probably staying in Seattle. He's getting like a job at Atlanta or Vegas or Tennessee. You don't want a guy like that. You want a guy who calls plays, who can dial up some great play action, some great trickery, some great play calling. I forgot the other word for it, but it's something you need to do. It's something that these guys, all these things need experience. Like Schwartz, he has experience at defensive end. And I keep bringing up Schwartz, but I'm trying to create an example for you guys. It's tough. It's tough sledding. Just stay out of it. And this is what I want the coach to do. I want the coach to fight back on the front office a little bit. If the GM wants something, I want this coach to be like, no, I kind of want no, I want to do it this way. I want to do it this way. I think this fits better. And the offense or the GM and front office better be like, okay, let's try it out. Now, if it fails, then okay, I can say the coach is trying his way and it's failing. Then what are you going to do? Nothing you can do about that. He wants to do it. He tried to do it his way. And then that's when the GM steps in, because you don't want like a Stefanski. Stefanski was just like a yes man. Yes, man, I'll do it. Yes, yes. Because if you remember, Stefanski wanted Flacco. He wanted Flacco, and then they traded Flacco, which forced his hand. Okay, you're playing Shador or you're playing Gabriel. He picked Gabriel. He was hell bent on keeping Gabriel until he got his concussion, which then we brought Sanders into play, and Sanders did a little better than Gabriel. Still has a lot of development from Sanders to come. Hopefully, the right coach can do that, and the right OC. But you got a couple guys that with Stefanski, he was hard-headed, and he was, no matter what, he was going to Flacco. And we trade him to Flacco to Cincinnati, and Flacco trades him, and the rest was history. We know what happened after that. So Stefanski was hard-headed at times, but he was still like a clown and a pushover for the organization. Like you couldn't get a lot out of him. You ask him a question, oh, we have to do better. I'm not going to come at that this time. Like, he just would not talk. And I don't know who the pick was for Sanders. We still don't know. Everybody's going to point fingers, but at the same time, was it Jimmy's thing? Was it AB's? Was it Kevin's pick? Supposedly, Stefanski was against this Watson trade, and he didn't want the Watson trade, but the front office did. So there's maybe some little pushback, but at the same time, there's really not a lot of pushback when it comes to Stefanski. So this would be, this coach got hit with some of these. Why you're interviewing some of these guys that make no sense now? If we're interviewing a guy like Jeff Hafley, who's the defensive coordinator from the Packers, who they just lost this past weekend to the Bears, defensive-minded coach, I think I'd be okay with. I think he's a no BS type of coach. I think he would fit well here. I think he would be okay. He was with the Browns before he did go to the Packers, so it'll be a little reunion of sorts, if you will. He would be great. He would be one of those guys that you can kind of rely on, you kind of trust to set up some good defense. Now he'll have to hit on offensive coordinator. And that'll be interesting if he would keep Reese, or he'll bring in his own guy, or he'll listen to the organization and see who he wants. So Todd Monken's another guy. Todd Monken, who's been named, but he doesn't really have head coaching experience. He's the offensive coordinator for the Ravens. Will he come at Harbaugh? If Harbaugh comes, will he be the OC of the Cleveland Browns when we get there? That'd be another interesting thing to see. Will he be the OC? Who does Harbaugh bring with him from the Ravens staff over to the Browns, especially with Mike McDaniel? Does he bring anybody over from the Dolphins if he does get the job and come over? So there's a very interesting thing. There's a lot of other coaches out there that they want, but I think the Browns are going to. It's going to be very interesting with the Browns to see how it goes, because there's just a lot of things to kind of factor in here when it comes to coaching search. So I don't think we're gonna get to Seattle DC. I think that was just he's more the Rooney role. So I'm surprised they haven't interviewed Clint Kubiak. There must be something that they've seen that they don't like. But I think it's very interesting. He has not been thrown in the ring for the Browns, which is, I wouldn't say mind-boggling, but it's kind of kind of weird that he's not even been brought up. And I don't know, maybe they're whatever the search for, not search for him, but the search team they have doesn't like something from Clint Kubiak, and maybe they're going with the head coaching experience, which is good. But then I don't know. But then you got a Jeff Hafley and Dan Pitcher who don't have head coaching experience, just have their position experiences. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see where the Browns go, and we're going to be right here to the end or till this search is over, and we're going to continue to see who they bring in. But we're not going to bore you with too much Brown stuff because that's really all we're talking about. We haven't gotten to free agency yet, folks. We haven't got the free agency, and that starts in a couple weeks too. So there'll be a lot of moving pieces. We got the combine, the draft coming up. So this will be very interesting, and I'm not going to continue to bore you with coach talk because there's really no other developments than what I've been told and what we know from this point. So hopefully we might as well probably have an update coming up next week here on the show. Maybe we'll know. Maybe knowing our luck, we'll know something when I get off recording here on Monday with you to give you some more talk and updates next week. All right, so Mark is not here today, so this is the shout of the week. Mark is actually interviewing to get into the police force. He's interviewing to get into the police force, and this is kind of one of his jobs he's wanted to do. So, Mark, this is a shout out to you, Mark. You've been a blessing. You've been doing well. And this I know how hard you've been working for this, and I know you're gonna crush it. And I cannot wait to celebrate when you do get the job. So, Mark, best of luck, my brother. And thank you for being an amazing co-host, an amazing friend. You're amazing. And you're gonna kill this interview. It's kind of going on right now as we speak, but you're going to kill this interview. You're going to strive for greatness, bro. And I cannot wait to have you back next week on the show to talk more, to continue to chop it up with you as we speak. So, we are going to move on to something we haven't really talked about. The Michigan coach. We haven't really talked about the Michigan coach. This Michigan coach since he's been hired, but Michigan has hired Kyle Whittingham, the former Utah head coach who stepped down from Utah literally a couple days before the Sharon Moore stuff happened. I liked her. He went 177 wins and 88 losses with Utah. He's had a bunch of winning seasons. He's won the conference a couple times, and I like this hire. He was one of the guys I was looking at before Harbaugh and now. And I know there was bigger names like Kalen DeBoer from Alabama, Kenny Dillingham from ASU. I'm happy to get Kenny Dillingham from ASU because I don't think he'd be a great fit here. With everything going on in today's college game, I don't think he'd be able to adapt and be able to. The only thing he would have from him would be youth, kind of connected to players more than an older coach would. But I like this Whittingham hire. It is a great hire. It's a hire that I liked. He if y'all remember, Harbaugh asked y'all make fun of Harbaugh, but if you really dig deep into this, he's a no BS coach. He plays old school football. If you're physical, he's got that physical offensive and defensive lines that are just gonna pound you. And if you're physical, you're gonna win. And you're gonna be able to run the ball, pass the ball. And there's an adult in the room. And the more and more we keep finding out about what Sharon Moore was doing behind the scenes and behind, and especially during the Ohio State game, as there's reports that he was DMing OnlyFans models in the locker room at halftime. Like, bro, what the hell are you doing? What the hell is going on with you? So it's been a very interesting month. But you got the adult in the room. He's a proven head winner. He's being no BS, and the players respect him. The players, if you would talk to a couple Utah players, you'd be like, oh, we respect him. And he's even got a couple Utah players to transfer from Utah to Michigan. So it's kind of actually been good for the program as things are starting to be stable with the program as he's not related to Harbaugh with coaching tree, let's put it that way. He's not related to the Harbaugh coaching tree. He's not related to the sign stealing stuff. Any of his coaches, he literally got rid of all the coaches that Sharon Moore had that were related to Sharon Harbaugh or even the science and stuff, they're all gone. They ain't coming back. And there's actually been some petty kind of stuff from the coaches that did get fired, especially Wink Martindale, and that's been really, really interesting to see. As they've been really interesting to see how petty he's got. You could tell during the bowl game he was very petty, and I don't get it. And I get it, but I don't get it because you should have known. You should know, Wink. Business is business. If a new coach comes in, they're not gonna. They might not keep you. Your job's not safe, and I don't understand why he was throwing a fit because he was wearing usually coaches wear their school's gear, team's gear when they're coaching. He wore none of that on the bowl game against Texas, which I didn't know until someone pointed it out, and then I saw it on camera. I was like, wow. Like, he's that petty that Michigan was not, or Whittingham was not going to keep him, and then you do that. Like, just get out of here. Go throw a tantrum somewhere else. You're not entitled. Nobody's entitled, bro. And and if anybody should know, it should be him because and how much he's been in the football business and the football games. He should know that, and it's very embarrassing for him. I'd be embarrassed too throwing a fit, and that's me that's like me saying, I'm getting fired from so and so place. I'm not gonna wear any stuff. I'm just gonna, throw a tantrum and just not be happy with what I'm doing. But Whittingham's a good. He's got it. I want to see how he recruits. Now he's kind of gotten screwed with the transfer portal and a little bit of that just because he had to work on the players that were on the roster. He had to work on retaining the roster, like the players that try to pretty much a sales pitch, if you will, to tell them to stay. Like, hey, we want you to stay. We want you to come. We want you to stay. We want you to play football. So this would be, you have coaches that are. That are always tampering, always in a agency or players. You're like, hey, this coach just left you. Why don't you come here? Now, Michigan has lost, like Ohio State, they have lost like 30 guys in the portal, which I think is a very interesting. We're gonna have a nice conversation about this when Mark comes back. Not next week, but we have a special guest that's gonna kind of bring on the topic. So we're going to hold off a really deep discussion, but. It's just the game's being ruined. The game's being ruined right now with everything going on. And Whittingham, this is what the coaches had to do. Him and his new staff had to retain as many players as they can. Thank God they regained they retained Underwood. They retained the starting running back, who's not a starting running back. The other one left. You retained the receiver. You just were committed. You got another receiver to commit last night or yesterday. You got your offensive linebacker is going to help. The defensive side of the ball needs some work. They need that linebacker. There's a linebacker out of Cal that they probably need to hit on because that's going to be big. That's going to be big if they can because you got that coming up. And if you get another defensive lineman, if they don't come back, now some people go to the portal to say, oh yeah, we're going to do. I'm going just for more money, but then Michigan kind of ups NIL. It's a minor league football. It's minor league NFL right now, folks. That's what we're looking at. It's minor league NFL. It's minor league stuff, and you just cannot. Nobody's safe. And I know I've been talking to Mark about this, but nobody is safe. Nobody in this whole entire mind is going to, think. Like that's like saying you commit to your job for 1 year and then here comes another job tampering and you're gonna leave too, and that's just how it is because you're going for more money. And now good luck. There's a difference between winning and there's a difference between going for money. There's players that stay because they know they can win, but at the same time there's also players that stay to get money. Then money is ruining college football. It's ruining college football because teams there's always tampering. There are always coaches in somebody's ear. There's coaches in our quarterback Underwood's ear from Oregon. I believe, obviously, I think LSU is still kind of lurking. I don't know if there's somebody else lurking. I think there was, but people leave because they think they get better money offers. But like the one running back, Justice Hayes, he's going. The rumor he might be going to Georgia Tech, offering $3 million just to come play there, and you might not even win. They might not even win it. They're not going to win a Natty. They might win the ACC if they're lucky, but you still got to deal with Miami. And if Clemson continues to be on the up and up, Louisville if they could get on the up and up, but if you're going for money, you're not setting up for success. You're not signing up for development. You're going to chase a bag, which is wrong. That's just wrong with today's game. And like I said, we're going to really, really deep dive into this conversation probably in February when the season's over. Me and Mark have a great guest going to come on and kind of talk about all this. But just my early thoughts on this. Whittingham's still doing. He's doing a great job. He's keeping what he can. Now next year it's going to be different. Next year will be very different when he does have a coach. He does have a full off season, no matter how far they make it in the play. If they make the CFP, or if they fall short, but he'll still have a minute. He'll still have some time to get it done. He'll have a full season to go through the portal, and I think when the players see the success he's having, they're going to want to come play. And this is the best fit I think going forward. He's having the job open up. Michigan did call his agent, and he was able to talk to Michigan, and the rest of it. I think 5 years is good. 5 years is good. You kind of start rebuilding the program back up, and if maybe year 3 it's continuing up and up, you give him that contract. You give him what he wants, because at the end of the day, if he still says he has a lot left in the tank, and I want to believe him. And he has a lot in the tank. I hope he does. I hope he's able to get what he wants. I hope he's able to does what he says and win the national championship. If he wins the national championship and rides him in the sunset, I have no problem. I'll go through another year of rebuild unless they have a coach. I don't think they're going to have a coach in waiting. That's just me. I think they're going to be doing a bigger search when they know. Now, when next time they do a search, I think it's going to be a little bit better than what this was, especially knowing this search had to happen fast for the NIL and the portal stuff. So I think Kyle Whittingham is a great, great hire, and he's going to be a no BS coach, and teams are going to start respecting Michigan, I think, a little more. Start respecting the way they're playing, especially if they could get some good development. And these coaches are known for development. Their OC Jason Beck he's bringing in he's had a top 5 offense with Utah when he was there, and Utah has did little with more. More with less, I should say. So and the defensive coordinator Jay Hill, he's from BYU. Who you see how close they were to making the playoff before falling short because of losing to Texas Tech twice and kind of getting obliterated 5 times fast to Texas Tech in both meetings in the regular season and the conference championship game. And then he brings some wide receiver coaches with him, tight end coach, which was his brother, linebackers coach. There's a lot to be desired with this hire, and I love it. Maybe we might not get the results we want year 1, which I'd be okay with if we see progress. But year 2 and year 3, I expect Natty, CFP, Natty, Big Ten Championship. Now, who knows? They could shock us next year and go make a good run at it, which I hope they do. I'm full on Whittingham, and I just really, really, really love this hire. And I just think down the line it's going to work out the way it's supposed to, and I love it. And this could be a good test. How the players adapt? How does he adapt to the Big Ten? It's a much bigger conference. You still got Ryan Day. You still got Signetti. You still got a lot of players there to help you out with this schedule. So I'm very, very, very excited for Kyle Whittingham and see what he does here come next fall. All right, I appreciate you here sticking along with us as we continue here on the final whistle as we get ready to wrap up here in a little bit. But we got some huge games coming up as it's the divisional weekend in the NFL. And divisional weekend NFL, CFP. This will be the last time we talk until the college football season does end. So we got a lot to talk about as we got some games to pick and some games to kind of go over. And this will be a very interesting weekend. We got the CFP. We're going to say the CFP for last because it's the biggest game out of the 4 or out of the 5 that are coming up this weekend. I hope you all enjoyed Super Wild Card Weekend. It was a great weekend. We still got one more game tonight as this recording. But it was a very great weekend of football, and I loved it. It was great. I had fun, and it was fun to watch and kind of watch some of these teams play. And it's been one definitely for the books. So we're gonna go on and pick some games, as we do know even though we don't know the one game, we do know what team or the 2 teams that would play in that slot. So we are going to go. We're to start Saturday with the Bills and the Broncos in Denver. As you remember, the Bills did defeat the Jaguars in a great come-from-behind win on Sunday in Jacksonville. And the Broncos are the number 1 seed, so they were kind of playing for a national. They were the 1 seed, so they were kind of waiting to see who they would play. And this was tough. I like the Bills. I thought the Bills would win last week, or yeah, on Sunday. This is tough because the Broncos, they got a great defense, and when their offense is on, they're on, and they got the altitude factor playing in Denver, And the Bills, the 6 days coming off 6 days on the road, I just don't see. It's tough. It's really tough, but I think I'm going. It's I. I'm, you know what, I'm going Broncos. The Bills compete, I think, but I just think the Broncos having a week off, everybody's getting healthy, everybody's trying to get in healthy, and they're gonna try to make a case that, they're not the same old Broncos. They're kind of not. They're not even a Manning Broncos. They're just Broncos with a new era, a new coach. Give me the Broncos in that one on Saturday. I would expect it to be close. I expect it to be close, but I could also see the Broncos pulling away. I think the altitude and only having 6 days off is going to come into play for the Bills, even though that shouldn't be a factor when it comes to a short week. But I do like the Broncos in that one. All right, so we're going to go to 49ers and Seahawks. This is the second matchup of the playoffs so far that they're playing for a third time, as the Bears beat the Packers on Saturday for the third time, or in the third meeting. So this is the third meeting of the year in the playoffs. And 49ers, they just lost Kittle. They just lost Kittle over a torn Achilles, so he's done probably obviously this year and probably for most of next year. Seahawks on a bye, coming off a bye, they're the number one seed. I think Seattle wins. I just watching Seattle play last week against these 49ers too, and they just kind of shut 49ers down, and now it's moving to Seattle. It's moving to Seattle for the number one seed. I like Seattle. I just think coming off a rest, the crowd's gonna be loud. The crowd's gonna be rocking. 49ers are gonna have to find another playmaker outside of CMC to win and move the ball down the field. And they showed flashes. DeMarcus Robinson had a great drive. Literally the first drive of the game yesterday, or first drive of the game on Sunday. Literally it was all him. Literally had like 3 catches and a touchdown. So I like the 49ers. They were able to show, and they were able to beat the Eagles, defending champs. But I think Seattle, with the noise, the crowd, and the break, will do well. So give me the Seahawks in that one. All right, we're going to move on to the Rams. Yeah, we'll go Rams and Bears. The Rams and the Bears, as the Rams defeated Carolina this past Saturday. The Bears defeated the Packers this past Saturday. So this is an interesting side of the ball. The Bears had to come from literally like almost a 21-3 deficit to come back. And they've been built to come back this past year. And watching Green Bay, Green Bay was right there. Green Bay had it, and they just couldn't hold on. And the Bears, they have an electric offense. It's weird. Their defense is more of a second half defense. The way they tighten up, the way they kind of play the ball. This is tough because I could see both teams winning in this one. I think Bears. I think Bears close. I think, could the Rams win? Absolutely, the Rams can win. But I like the Bears. I like the Bears in this one. I just think the weather will play a factor. It's going to be cold, maybe snow, because there might be some forecasted snow coming up. And the crowd's just going to be electrifying. The home field advantage. I think the cold plays a big factor. Maybe no, but you know what? Maybe it doesn't. As Rams went to Carolina, but that was more of a little kind of cooler than colder type of instance. So I like the Bears. I think the cold and the crowd, and I think the Bears, they're just riding on a high right now. But would I be surprised if the Rams did make a push, did make a run and beat the Bears? I would not, because I just think they are built for a run as well. But I can't. I went against the Bears last week and it cost me. So you know what? I'm going with the Bills this week. I think they win. And beat the Rams to move on to the NFC Championship game. And our fourth and final NFL game of the weekend, it is either going to be the Houston Texans or Pittsburgh Steelers at the New England Patriots. I think regardless of who wins this, the Houston-Pittsburgh game, I'm going New England. New England's just playing at a whole different level right now under Vrabel and Drake May. They really stuffed the Chargers into a locker, only allowing Chargers to score 6 or 3 points on Sunday Night Football. So I like New England. I just think New England, the crowd's going to be into it. Houston's riding on a high. They're riding on like a 10-game win streak right now. Pitt barely got in. They had to rely on a kicker to miss their kick to get in. So I like I like New England to defeat Houston or Pitt in this one, just because I don't see a scenario. If I'd be very shocked if this upset does happen. I think Houston will have a better shot of upsetting New England than Pitt. I think New England, they're tougher right now, and I think they're bound to make a run to the AFC Championship game. And who knows if they do play the Bills again in the second? If they do have them play the Bills again, I think we're heading towards a Super Bowl if they do get the Bills. The Broncos could be interesting if they have to play the Broncos, but I think New England could be too much for whoever comes out of the Houston Pitt game here, the Houston Pitt game here this evening. And then the main event, we have football Saturday through Monday next weekend on a long MLK weekend, as the CFP National Championship is Miami versus Indiana, the 1 seed versus, what did you believe it, the 10 seed. And this is a fascinating matchup, as Miami has a great offensive defensive line. Indiana has an explosive offense. Their defense is playing top notch right now. Look what they did against Oregon this past Friday. This is a very, very interesting matchup. I don't know what it is. Indiana does get it done in the end, but I think this is where you're going to see if Miami's defensive line could stand up to Indiana's O-line, which I think they can. I think they could give Mendoza some trouble in the pocket and make him scramble. And then can Indiana get the back? As we saw, Ohio State had that powerful line. They really couldn't get to Beck, and Beck had all day, and the receivers, they weren't really running. They were just jogging, and here you go. Here's another first down, another 10 yards, etc., etc. So I like this matchup, but I just think Indiana wins, and just hats off to freaking Kurt Cincinnati. Or both coaches, but more Kirk Cincinnati. The way he's just getting guys in the transfer portal, the way he's already reloaded. He's already got a quarterback next year, as Josh Hoover. He's from TCU. He's the guy from next year. Or he's the guy that's going to be the quarterback next year. He got a couple running backs. He just got a huge big-time receiver from Michigan State, Nick Marsh, which I would have loved on Michigan personally, but we obviously did not go that route. But I think Indiana, if Indiana doesn't win, the question's going to be, as we brought up, if not now, then when? Because this is probably your best team, and they're like, I want to say they're not even in the top 20 for recruiting Indiana. So This is make or break for Cincinnati. If not now, then when? If I'm being honest with you, because if you don't win this year, will you ever win? Because the teams are just the NIL is just going to keep going and going, and you might not find yourself, because Indiana, they got a tough schedule. They got to play Michigan next year. They got to play Ohio State next year. They're not, and just as just in regular season, they're not out of these woods, and they could very much be facing 2 or plus losses, and this is I'm going to go make or break. Now, Miami, on the other hand, Miami's been playing very well, as they were one of the last few teams to get into the playoff, as they were in that bait with Notre Dame and Texas A&M, who would get in, who would be out, and obviously it was Notre Dame being left out because of the 2 losses they had to Miami and Texas A&M. I like Indiana, so Miami, they're playing well. And I was going to see who their quarterback's going to be next year for Miami, but they're not worried about that. They're worried about next week and the championship game. But they got some flash. They got some runners on that team. They got Tony. Their running backs are pretty good. They have like a three-headed monster in the backfield. One goes out, and here comes the third string still plowing over people and getting like 99 yards or like 9 yards, 10 yards of carry. So it's going to be a very interesting game. Strength versus strength. Offense, the key to the game needs to be Miami's defense versus Indiana's offense. That's going to be the key. If Miami could contain Indiana, and force Mendoza to be uncomfortable in the pocket, force him to make mistakes, force him to just feel uncomfortable, I think Miami has a good shot in this. Now, as long as Miami offensive line holds up against that offense, Indiana's offensive line, I think you have a good shot there. So I'm going Indiana. I still think Indiana wins close, but the key to watch will be Miami's defensive front versus Indiana's offensive front. I think that ultimately decides the game. In my opinion, it's going to be that matchup. That's in my opinion, that's what you're going to watch. But I just That's where I'm going with is Indiana over Miami. Should be a great game. It is next Monday on MLK Day in Miami, and it's a home game for Miami. So it'll be very interesting to see what the crowd turnout is too for that. As how many Miami people show up, what's the ratio? Is it 50-50, 60-40, 70-30? Be very interesting, and pretty much a home game for Miami. So I'm very excited for that one. So give me Indiana. Well, folks, it's been a great hour with you. As I'm sorry we're kind of cut it short, but we're trying. As we went through, I went through what we wanted to get through today. But it's been a blessing, and I appreciate you all watching. And Mark will be back next week. We have some UFC to cover next week, as Mark will be back, and our good friend Steve's going to join us next week. As UFC starting a new, if most of you, I'm sure some of you know, are starting a new Paramount deal where they will be on Paramount Plus each and every single fight night and numbered event, and it's no more pay-per-views. You just sign up for a location and you're in it. So it's very, very interesting. I'm very excited for it to have Steve back on, and Mark is going to be back on next week as well. But folks, don't forget, we thank you so much. We say this from the bottom of our heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys have changed this, changed our lives in the better, from the criticism to the compliments to everything. The people that just watch day in and day out, we appreciate you. We're trying to get us out there, and most of you know that watch. You know what my goal is to get into broadcasting, and this is how I'm trying to start small and go big, and we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there one way or another. And Mark, he's been one hell of a co-host, as he's been, and I can't thank him enough for all my times my internet has gone out, and he's kind of had to carry the show. And you guys, there wouldn't be an us without you guys, and you guys tune in each and every single week, and we can't thank you enough. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Thank you for everything you guys have given us, because it helps us keep going. And we're going to keep going, as each and every single week we're going to have different topics as we're kind of adjusting. But we're here. We're not, even when football's over, we got basketball, we got hockey, we got the Olympics, we got a lot of things to cover. So we're not going away. Summer, we're going to get through the summer. We got a couple of interesting ideas. Like I said, we got that. We're hopefully, as long as the weather holds up, I'm praying the weather holds up. We do have, because, if you're in Ohio and in north, it could snow at any time. So as long as it works out, we're going to be recording from the Brooklyn Recreation Center, for the Barron Cup, a road show where we're going to do our normal. We're going to talk and do what we sign up to do. We'll do our normal talk, but we're going to it's like our quote-unquote first road show to kind of just hang out and, talk about the tournament a little bit. And then we're going to hopefully have an interview. I don't know if we'll be able to get the interview with the commissioner, or pretty much a commissioner, the president of the league, just because of how busy his schedules are, because he has 3 jobs. So I want to, but I can't promise we're going to do it. I'm sure if I ask him, but I'm not going to make him go out of his way to, especially with the busy schedule he has. So, but yeah, we're excited for the road show. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, and we can't wait to do maybe another road show in the summer, and then maybe one in fall once high school starts. We'll do one at a high school field or something, the preview to college football or the high school football season. So we got a lot of things coming up in the works. We're very excited. We're just taking it one week at a time. We already started a little bit planning for next week already. By the time this comes out, we're already planning for next week. So we are very lucky and very fortunate we were able to do this. I know we sound uneducated, and it seems like, knock on wood, my internet's been working. So I found my new home to record, which is fine by me. I'll do it each and every single week to, and all that. So I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, everybody, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I know I blab a little much. I know me and Mark both blab a little much, and we kind of bore you guys. But if you made it this far, thank you, thank you, thank you. We also have some other great things coming up. As I wanted to do the one, probably won't be happening. I gotta get a hold of somebody, but it will happen in the near future. So much love, everybody. Appreciate you coming in. It's going to be a great year to final. So it's already the second episode of the year. So we're excited. If you watch this far, thank you. I know it's not the same without Mark here, but we did it, and I look forward to we're gonna have some more topics. I just want to see how, since he couldn't make it, how I did by myself. I had to push an hour, so And if I have to do it by myself in the future, we'll hopefully go past an hour. I'll have some more topics, but I just wanted to see how we did this week. And I think we did good. So we'll get there. And I'm very excited. We're going to talk some UFC next week. And we're going to go from there. So, for all of us here at the Finals, I'm Kyle. And for Mark, we will see you next week with Scuba Steve on the final whistle. Until then, be a friend, tell friends something nice, and might change their lives. Goodbye.